that's enough of that. I always forget that the sound is so loud for that. But hello, I'm Steve from Mac84. Welcome to Open Talk number 11. Hopefully all the audio and everything sounds good. It better, because there's no way to change it now. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. But I want to give an introduction to our guest today. You may know him. I hope you know him. If not, you better like and subscribe to his channel, or there will be repercussions to pay. You will have to give me your old computers. But anyway, without further flopping around, here is my good friend Dan, the Canadian computer collector.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you for having me. I am a Canadian computer collector, where you can come to my channel and learn all about recycling, reducing, and reusing. And not just computers. We're talking about egg cartons, milk cartons, plastic bottle. You can recycle anything. Did you know that?
This is a whole new shift for your channel, and I'm here for
it. I'm just kidding. Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve. I am very excited to be here.
Yeah, well, we're here to talk about your new book, and I'm so excited to go over every chapter in excruciating detail.
Well, I'd like to say, the Diarrhea Diaries wasn't easy to write. It was a project close to my heart. I don't know. As I get older, I find myself going to the wash. Anyway, we don't have to.
Really, your heart is that low?
Yes. Hello to everyone in the chat, by the way, too. I saw "How's it going?" A. I imagine that's a Canadian salute. So, how's it going? It's funny. A is very like Canada thing, but I live in the city with like the highest crime rate per capita. So it's like what we call the Winnipeg handshake isn't necessarily just saying "hey," it's also stabbing a person. It's and happy to answer questions about Canada and other related facts about Winnipeg.
I like this question. Can I turn a soda bottle into a computer? You could do whatever you'd like.
I think that's a great question. I would start with like Raspberry, or maybe an Arduino board or something, and see what you could fit. Actually, you could probably get a really small form factor and throw it in a 2-liter,
like a super micro X or something.
That could be a good challenge. Like build the smallest bottled computer that you can.
How many Raspberry Pi Zeros can you just shove in a bottle?
Actually, if you think about it, like the old ship in a bottle model kit, you could have a guy fully disassemble a Raspberry and slide it together one piece at a time, possibly into a glass bottle.
And then you put a little sail on it and like a little GPS, and you just see where it goes in the world.
I'd say it would probably be a lot harder with something you have to screw together than things where you could just take a toothpick of glue and put that on the end. But
soldering iron and like tweezers through the glass opening. Now I look forward to that on your channel, Dan. You'll show us all how to do that.
Well, I do want to start making some weird stuff here. Now that I have an actual workbench that can be like something I can work at without doing a half bend all day, that results in me pulling my SI joints and unable to sit down for like 11 days at a time.
I'm jealous. You have an actual table with wood. Mine is plastic with a fake wood top.
Nice. Yeah. Well, okay. So the table I'm sitting at right now is the table that I used to do everything from when everything was set up in the corner there, and it's that wood dining room table, and it's great to sit at. It's sturdy, especially now that I've tightened it up. I went over all the hardware again because it was really loose before. It was so loose that like if one person tried to move it, you might break the legs off.
That's similar to the desk I used to have here. That was an old kitchen table. But
yeah, well, it was great to sit at, but standing and working on things was bad. And like my brother and I did a live stream where we built a PC, and I was standing most of the time, just kind of half bent forward, and I ended up. Oh, it was so bad. Is my camera lagging now too? I think my camera's lagging. Oh no. Okay, good. Maybe just on my end. I'm using a 2013 MacBook Pro, folks.
It's his first mistake of the evening.
Yeah, so.
And the first mistake is it's not the evening, it's the afternoon.
Yeah, trying to do like a 1080p stream off this thing.
You could just put an egg on there, just like have some breakfast.
Literally just screaming at me as loud as it can. It's so hot where the power goes in right now. It's shocking. Yeah.
Don't electrocute yourself on stream, hopefully. So.
Yeah, I will not be doing that.
So,
Juxtapose, thank you for subbing.
Yeah, speaking of subscribers and all that stuff. So Dan, could you tell us like a little bit of an intro about yourself, what you do on your channel, and you know, sort of if somebody has not watched your channel before, give them like the sell, as we say in the biz.
You know, okay, I'll start with this. If you're not into burping, skip like the first couple years. No, the channel essentially was something that I started to do when actually the pandemic started. So I'd been acquiring old machines before the pandemic and just kind of putting them in my place and putting them in their place. And then, you know, I'd just been piling them basically onto shelves. And I always thought like, it'd be fun to noodle around with these and record the journey, right? And I was already big into like retro tech YouTube because I was like I work in marketing and communications, and typically during the day, you know, I would throw on like a documentary about the history of the PC or like the history of the internet, or you know, like just kind of the big stuff when I was just kind of getting into it. And I would listen to these things and go, oh, this is really cool. And some of the ones I would watch, I think, oh, those are really neat little machines. And I was really into cars basically all my life, or I have still. I'm into cars, but I started to notice parallels where it was like when cars first started developing, like en masse, you know, after World War II and everything like that, people were trying weird, random things, and like the technology is strange on some of them, you know, and like things like you know, high beam dimmers or like this bullet shaped thing on a riser on your dashboard, you know, and so like I would see these old PCs and I think like, what the H is all this stuff on here? Why does it have a turbo button? Why are there like, you know, numbers reading out on the front? Like, what is this for? And my brother and I were always into building our own PCs when we were kids. Like we were big LAN party guys and stuff like that, played a lot of games. And we had like a basement where him and I had our PCs set up on a banquet table. And then we would just get like old computers from friends and family members and like pull RAM out of them and extra hard drives, just chuck them in ours and, you know, like things like that. And then so long story short, the pandemic hit and I thought, oh, I've got all this extra time. I wanted to do a YouTube channel. I also skipped past, like I did stand up for like 8 or 9 years and had a show on cable access and all that, like a talk show, that sort of thing. And I thought, I'm really not doing anything right now. Like, and I'm kind of missing doing something. And I've got all these computers here. And so I just started the YouTube channel. The first video I made was like how to desanitize a G4 iMac, which is like purposefully stupidly specific because no one needs to know how to desanitize
you can't use the skill anywhere else, just on this computer.
This one computer. But I ended up making that video, and it was kind of fun and silly. And then I tried one where I actually took something apart. And, you know, I've never professed from the beginning, like I've never professed to be an expert. I don't pretend that I know everything about everything, but I'm just someone who really, really enjoys it. And that's kind of the part that I was like, well, we'll bring you along on the ride for it. Like, I'm going to figure shit out and break shit. Oh, sorry. I'm going to figure things out and break things.
No, that's fine.
I guess for 10 minutes in there.
I'll just charge you $20 each time. So it's fine. It's totally
I'll
fine.
pay with Canadian money.
Damn. Not again.
Yeah. Now you owe me 20 Canadian.
It's just it's just PayPal is making just fees left and right for us sending money back and forth.
Yeah, and you know what? Canadian money is so worthless. We could just ship it in the mail without insurance. It's like, hey,
whatever happens.
Yeah.
So did you have like a good collection of this stuff to begin with when you started filming your videos, or was like you were trying to just like do with what you had, or did you like specifically seek out machines before you started making videos?
So before I started making videos, I was just looking for old stuff. I think the first thing that I bought with this intention, because I'd already built myself a PC to use and play games and stuff on. But the first thing that I bought, like as a retro piece, was a Macintosh SE. And that came with a little slip cover, which was pretty nice. And it had a very loud hard drive, and
that was the style at the time. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Oh, Jerry's Vintage Hillbilly Shack, 67 cents US on the dollar. You know what's really funny? There was a guy in a group chat I was in recently who was saying like, "When's the last time you checked the dollar? It's basically the same." I'm like, I don't know what you think the same looks like, but 67 cents is not the. Oh.
Look, Dan, if you give me a check for $1 million, I'll give you a check for $5, and it's basically the same, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So the first thing I bought was that Mac SE. Then the second thing I bought was actually a Windows 98 server, and it's this huge tower. It's I think it's called an Inwin Q500 is the name of the case, and it's a case that a buddy of mine had back when we were kids. Except we called his wheels because it had wheels on it, like caster wheels. And we built a LAN box in it, like out of old Dell machines and all this crap. And it was just like, it was such a hunk of junk. But you know what? It did what it played Counter-Strike, which was all we cared about at the time.
Of course.
And we could haul it places, which was great. I mean, even though it was massive, you could roll it with your stuff on top. So, I mean, back in the day, we used to go to probably like 2 or 3 LANs a year, and then we'd have like our own little mini ones at our houses. So you know, networking was a challenge sometimes when we go to a friend's place and their parents had like 5 megabit internet or something, you know, like that was pretty good.
Yeah, I remember going to like a LAN party and there wasn't like a network. Like we had to bring our own like 10 megabit router or switch, you know.
That's a true LAN, right? Like that was the original
these kids don't know, you know, we suffered, Dan.
Yeah, a true local area network. Actually, those were the best because, you know, the latency was incredible.
Oh yeah, I remember I remember going over a friend's house instead of my high school prom. This is true. This is exactly what we did. We just set up a bunch of computers and we played like Unreal Tournament 2004 all day. It was no regrets. It was the best. But the thing is, none of us had internet access. We were all just on this little LAN. Yeah. And so when we wanted to download a new map or whatever, my friend had to run a cable down the stairs, plug it into his computer, you know, and because I think back in the day, if memory serves, some of the hubs were very picky about like DHCP and IP addresses and stuff like that. Like, and his never worked correctly once you plugged like an internet signal into it. It was like, like it would self-assign addresses no matter what, so it would always conflict. And so like his was the only computer that get the internet, and we were just like, okay, put the map on your computer and go to work group / blah blah blah. And it was like so dumb, you know. It's just like the silly things you did, and now you get internet everywhere. You could be on the toilet on your phone and watch all of The Office.
Well, I tell you, I know, which is amazing, right? I mean, I used to dream about that as a child. But, you know, like I recently, speaking of LANs, my brother and I just got back from LTX, which, you know, I know.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute because
Linus is in hot water, but the LAN there was a blast. But I think
I saw photos. Yeah,
I think they had like 150 gigabit internet or something like that for everyone. Like it was just like blazing fast. Like.
Wow, that's nuts. I'm gonna put your channel here on the screen.
Of course, yeah.
And so this is what Dan's lovely channel looks like. If you haven't been there before, please go and subscribe right now. We'll wait. We'll be very patient. We'll wait. You won't miss anything. But if I go through some of your videos here, not to put you on your spot, but you know, here's some of the recent videos that Dan was doing. So the Road to LTX. So this was that event, and you drove there with your brother Stace. Shout out to Stace.
Yes,
awesome addition to the channel. That's one thing I want to say. When you do your channel stuff, like it's not just you. Like you bring on your brother, you bring on your friends, like whoever's helping you do this stuff. And I think that's cool because it keeps it fresh. You know, nobody wants to come down to my basement. I'm all terribly alone.
You know, I got to say, my brother has been such an integral part of everything. You know, like even I'd say a year in is I think when he started to help out more. And you know, he's been fantastic. He's great for like content ideas, and you know, like one of the things I brag about on his behalf all the time is he did this video about how to get large video files off of iPhones onto PCs, like onto a Windows computer, files that are like over 8 gigabytes. Because I think it's over 4. I can't remember the exact detail, but the opening line in it is like, you know, not safe for work, but it's so funny. It's just like, it's a how-to video. When people click on it, it's like, are you looking to get large video files off of your iPhone onto a Windows PC? F you. That's what Apple would think, at least. I'm just like, oh my god, it's so good.
And that's it's like a very specific on a something that's people have problems with, but it is something that people have problems with. And I remember, and I made a comment on that video, but back in the day, a coworker had that issue, and it was like, with Windows XP, there, wasn't really a good way to do that. Thankfully, new versions of Windows are a bit better, but it's like, it's like you have to jump through all these hoops, and the problem is when you search, and when you search for like a solution, the first thing that comes up is going to be these like, oh, download our software to do it for you.
It's always, download this free software that'll spy on you. Save all your photographs.
It's a free trial for 7 days, but you have to give us your credit card,
Yeah, don't love that stuff. One thing I should say about the channel too is like when I started the channel, I really didn't want to do like clickbaity titles and things like that. And I have to say, like, it is so hard, especially nowadays where like there's some people with very competent theories about this, but that the algorithm on YouTube is essentially not working properly at this point in time. Like weird stuff is happening with that algorithm where, I'll get recommended videos that are like way off my interests. Like I'll have a video that'll do somewhat well. Like when we did these streeters, like the one we have called I Met Dank Pods. Essentially, when that video did well, it got like a second pump from the algorithm, and all of a sudden it's like all these views from people who are way outside our audience, and all of them are like, clicking off of it right away, right? And so you're like, this is simultaneously showing us the new people, but like killing the video at the same time. And so it's really unusual. So like lately, to get our stuff seen, we've been doing clickbaity titles because that's one of the hardest things, is just to get it in front of people.
I mean, that's an excellent point, but it's also, I feel like there's a fine line between like, I think we're very similar in thinking of, you don't want to mislead anybody of the content of the video, but
that's the hardest part.
You also are trying to get eyes on your video. You're trying to make someone click. You don't want someone to look at the thumbnail and go, huh? And and that's a whole other thing, because your thumbnail could be too busy. There could be, I see so many people that I watch, and like their thumbnail will be very busy. There's like 5 logos on it, and the text is really small. There's like 8 arrows, and you're like, I don't know what's going on. But it's one of these things where yes, you have to make it compelling for someone to click on, and I think there's a fine line of exaggerating and teasing a little bit. And versus just like, will this iPhone conquer the world? And it says yes, and then it's like you're repairing a car, something like completely unrelated.
You can't have videos that are like, I'm gonna die, and then like everyone clicks on it, and you're like, for these great prices, you know what I mean? Like you can't like,
you'll just die over the Blue Scuzzy version 2,
like there's a great example. Like some of the stuff that I watch in what I call my research as a YouTube creator is, there's a lot of channels out there that do case studies, and some of the case studies I've watched, I think there was one of them recently. It was about like him or love him, Logan Paul, and he had this guy on who was a co-host of like another show that they did or something. And apparently the guy split off and started his own YouTube channel, and his first video was like incredibly misleading. It was something like I'm beefing with Logan Paul or something. And then like as soon as people open the video, he's like, yeah, so I'm not actually like beefing with Logan Paul. And it's just like, man, this is the kind of stuff that you don't do, right? Because people give you a thumbs down, and then your stuff gets hidden and all that stuff. So like when you're doing the clickbait thing, you can't just literally trick people, right? Like you have to have some kind of compelling angle, which drives me nuts, because I'd rather just say like fixing an Apple IIc instead of like, whoa, you'll never guess what happened here, like so.
I like how Sean is saying he's putting subliminal binary messages in this video.
Yes. That's a great plan, Sean.
Why is your intro 5 minutes long and you just keep blinking suddenly? Like, I don't understand what's going on here.
He's blinking in binary.
And it's just like LOL. That's all he's saying.
One, rest. One.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult, especially I heard this a few years ago. I think it was Techmoan who was doing a video where his Patreon exclusive thing. He was talking about how he feels bad for anybody starting YouTube now, as opposed to 10 years earlier. because the audience was so much smaller that it was easier to get. I'm sorry, the amount of creators was such a reduced amount that it was easier for people to find content and subscribe and so on and so forth. But I think the algorithm has changed so much, and it's a continually changing thing. But I think it's more difficult to find quality content, and it's also more difficult to find content that's recommended to you that you like. And most of it I get through word of mouth. Like,
Yes.
One of the reasons why I do this is I want to talk to people and have fun, but also I want to, hey, check out Dan's channel, check out this, subscribe to this, because I get so many recommendations from people, like whether it's a Twitch channel or YouTube, and I'm like, how have I not found this? Like, through all my years of wasting time on the internet, this is something I didn't know about. Please, I'll subscribe. Thank you.
Well, I would love it if the algorithm would push me new channels and like new content in areas that I'm passionate about, right? Like that's the whole point of what YouTube was supposed to be. I think for a period of time, they got a little confused with their own identity, and they were like constantly like, check out Jimmy Fallon, and like I don't know, like this isn't like the late night days of yore. But the thing that drives me nuts about it is it's constantly trying to replay videos for you. So like you'll search for something and it'll show you 2 new things and then like 4 that you've already watched. Every time I open YouTube on my Fire Stick that I have on one of my televisions, it's a video that's like 32 minutes long. I've already watched it entirely. And it's been like 6 days of it, just like, again. No, I'm not.
Mine will suggest my own videos, and it's like, no, I spent like a week editing that. I don't want to ever see that again.
Like, I get just triggered by the sound file.
It's like, my nephew
back in the editing room.
My nephew will constantly bring up like a YouTube short or something, be like, hey, it's you, and I'm like, oh god, no, like I've seen this like so many times, like my soul is like decompressing. Like, please stop.
I completely, it's in a weird place right now for sure. I mean, maybe they'll get out of this hole, but it's definitely in a weird place because people are starting to make content about that. So
and I also think that it's such a thing that it obviously has evolved a lot, but also people have been trying to take advantage of it. And I think one of the videos that you were referencing, I watched it too, where they were saying like how people are doing that, and it's just like. So something has to change. Obviously, they're always tinkering with it or whatever. But what I would say the best thing to do is for channels of any size, if you are trying to share your content, you have to go to social media, Discord, stuff like that, and just say, here I am. And that sort of sucks because it's like you're putting yourself out there. You're like, hey, look at this awesome video I did. And like the first 10 comments is always gonna be like, well, actually, you said that the Macintosh SE only had an 800K drive, but the later ones had, and it's like, that you're gonna have to weed out those people, and that always stinks. But that's what you have to deal with.
And then one of them shows up at your house one day,
with a broken CRT monitor. Can you fix this? I'm just gonna leave it in your
drives, Steve.
It's like 4 a.m. Your doorbell camera is just like, I know you're in there, Dan. Oh god.
Oh boy.
So you started your channel when about?
I think it was March of 2020. Does that sound right? Yeah, nice. March 2020.
So about 3 years have gone by.
About 3, yeah.
Yeah. So you have 2.4 thousand subscribers. We're going to hope to bump those numbers up today.
Yeah, well, you know what?
We're not going to stop this stream until we get to 3,000.
it's a bit of a grind in the beginning, right? But you know what? Totally. Just like our friend Linus Tech Tips, you can do it without a viral video. You can just grind for your entire life.
it helps to have a team of people doing things with you.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
You know what though, to the credit of that channel though, like they really haven't had a ton of viral content like in the beginning. When they built it, it was just like 7 years of reviews. And
that's the thing. A lot of people who are getting into this don't maybe see that perspective of things of like, look, you're going to be nothing for a while. I remember getting 10 subscribers and I was so freaking happy. And then when I got 50, I'm like, oh yeah, I've hit the big time. And this is like 2017. Well,
you got to love what you're doing, right? Like I personally really enjoy the creativity and the feeling of satisfaction I get from making a computer, regardless of the year or what brand or what type it is, like whether it's a restoration or a build or something. Like I just love it. Like right now, one of the things under this desk or this bench is a machine I'd acquired a bunch of parts for. I haven't put the video together yet because I just basically mocked up the machine. I'm going to take it apart again and then do the video. But it's basically like the LAN machine that I wished I'd had as a teenager. Nice. So we're up to like, what is it? I can't remember the board. I think it's like an Asus A7 8 or something like, or an A8V or something like that, or AV8.
That's a lot of A noises in there.
Offhand, I can't remember the name of the board, but it's got like a Radeon 9800 Pro and like, you know, a bunch of RAM, and then I got a whole bunch of those blue and yellow like single IDE cables that are.
Oh, that's right. I remember you asking for the colors, and I'm like, I don't have a yellow one. I'm sorry.
I ordered a bunch off eBay. I got like a bunch of lights for the case, and I got like cold cathode lights and light up fans from China, and like, you know, it's gonna be so sick. I'm super excited.
That's exciting. And that's why you create this content, because you have a drive for it, you have a love for it, and I think that if anybody is going to create a channel these days, if you don't have that, it's sort of like, well, what are you doing here? Because you're not going to make it rich. I'm sorry, it's just like the odds are against you on there. You know, unless you have like a video of a cat running you over in a tractor or something, you're not going to just break that
every week.
Every week. It's a different cat. That's what makes it different. You
know? Everything's broken. For that one, I'm actually using a 9800. So a Radeon 9800 Pro All-in-Wonder is what the card is in that one.
This is the first time I've seen Radeon just like reduced like by 3 letters. So I'm like, what the heck is a RAND 88? Like, is that an old Intel 8088 clone or something? Like,
well, no, RAND 8088 is something else. Actually, Ryan and I have been talking about that on the side, but no, the Radeon 9800 is the card that's in the machine behind me. And what is it? It's in like a Chief Tech or like a Chief Tech Dragon or something. Like, it's a full whistling diesel. Yeah, let's just torch a Tesla every week.
Yeah. Dan can afford it. He has that line of credit they just opened last week.
Oh my god.
-$5.
Be like, we'll start the video and be like, I sold everything I own so I could go get a Tesla on credit. Show up at the dealership. No, you can't. Okay, they wouldn't let us film inside, and they wouldn't sell me a Tesla.
Escorted to the police officers, you know, back at the cruiser now. Yeah.
So we're gonna go on the buy sell and get a camper to live in now.
The rest of the video is just you crying. Yeah, it's just. But that's exciting. It's nice to revisit those builds, you know, that like either you couldn't obtain, you couldn't have, and I think that's what drives a lot of this weird nostalgia and urge to fill up every crevice in our house with old crap. Is just like, I wanted this thing, or I've heard of this thing, or I never knew this thing existed, and now, you know, I have a little bit of a disposable income. These things are sometimes easily affordable, you know, sometimes maybe not, but you know, yeah, you could play around with them, you could take around with them, see what's different, and it like, hey, this is great, or no, this sucks, I'm glad I didn't get that, you know.
It was funny, my pop says like he's been an antiquesman for 45 years, and he says that people are collectors before their first kid and after the last one goes to university. That's what he said. So basically I'm in that point where I haven't had kids yet, and I'm still acquiring stuff because I know that tap is going to turn off one day.
Yeah, I think there's room for 1 or 2 more Mac Pros on the.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Ryan says, "Would that camper be down by the river?" That is correct. That is correct.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think also, like you were talking about the grind before of like when you first start a channel, and I think it's very important for people to realize that like we've all been through that. Like, it's very easy to see somebody like a LGR or a Linus, or you know, these people who have amassed a big audiences. They've been doing that over a long period of time, and it's going to take a while to build up that audience. But I also think like when you're starting a channel, it's also very difficult to like find your footing, find your voice, find what you're excited with, find your passions, and refine that continually. I mean, I look back at like some of my first videos, I'm like, oh, what was I doing? You know, it's like, you know, don't look at them, they're poison, you know.
Well, you know, like I think like human nature has a way of filtering out bad content, and that's how it works, right? Is like if you're making videos because you want to get money,
Yeah.
not because you're just a passionate person about whatever it is that you're talking about, people will notice immediately and tune out. They don't like it's not something that people care about. They don't care to enrich you. They want you to be enriched by enriching them, right?
I'm
Like
gonna have to pause right here for our advertiser. Dan of Canadian Computer Collector is selling. No,
yeah. No, it's like it's one of those things where like if you watch a channel that's put on by someone and they're upset that they don't have enough views, but like whatever they're making, you can tell they don't really care about it. Like sometimes it might just be someone reading Wikipedia articles about content, thinking like, oh yeah, you know, like this is something that I think people are going to dig because I see all these documentary channels and all they do is read the Wikipedia thing. But like, unless you're out there pounding the pavement and getting people to watch it, and like, there's so much to it. And if you're not bringing that initial heat, like if you're not really all about whatever it is you're doing, from an honest perspective, I would say too, people will tell, right? Like it's like what is that? There's that theory about why we may not have intergalactic space travel yet, and it's like the human nature, and there's the steps, and you get to that one step where it's like we infight so much that we can't possibly reach the next one. It's like
humanity.
It's something paradox. I can't remember the name offhand, but it's like that with content, right? You're like, yeah, I'm gonna make videos just because I want to get rich, and then it's just like, oh, no one's watching it because they're terrible. You know what I mean? Like it's just you'll never get.
Even if you have great content, I know that Bruce says it all the time of Brankus Creations when he's doing these streams. It's like, yeah, I'd make more at a fast food restaurant than I would repairing these things and doing YouTube. Like, you get a little bit of a payday every once in a while, but your videos have to perform well. I had a Blue Scuzzy video that got like 10,000 views in like 3 days, which I was like, oh, that's great. I think I made $20 off of it.
Yes,
It's like, unless
it can't be about the money.
Unless unless you've had very good fortune and your content has been pushed, and like a lot of these people work very hard, and my hat goes off to them, but like it's not going to happen overnight. So my advice to anybody starting out is just be passionate and have fun, and if you're having fun, people watching you will realize that. And anything else,
you want them to have fun too, right? People have fun when they watch people.
No, it's a very serious channel, Dan. No joking.
That's why no one watches C-SPAN in Canada, which is just like just literally like a webcam inside the House of Commons. Like
there's like a bird that's just nesting there the whole time. The viewers go up.
Yeah, there's a bird right now. Oh wow, something's happening. They've just been talking about school tax for the last 15 hours. Like just anyway.
so your videos, you started out doing a lot of like, hey, I'm going to take this thing, I'm going to clean it up, I'm going to restore this, and so on. And recently, just to go back, because you went on this epic trip that you documented in a very cool way on your channel. You want to talk a little bit about that, and just people can watch the video, so you don't have to. You could tell them to go there. Yeah.
Essentially, my brother and I drove out to Vancouver, BC, which if you are not familiar with, it's like driving from what would be like Chicago to Los Angeles, like right across the country, almost. Well, yeah, I would say probably half the country, because this is an absurdly large place. But yeah, it took basically 24 hours of driving to get there, and then 24 hours to get back. But we documented our drive there. We didn't document the drive back because it would just be the same shots again,
but way less energy.
The other way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Us wanting to die as we're driving.
You're like filming your brother, and he's just like giving you a death glare.
I think my brain is shutting down.
as he's directing you towards a ditch. Like, here we go.
Yeah, from the flat part to the bumpy part, absolutely. And actually, you know what? Growing up in the flat part, when you get to the bumpy part, it's like, wow, these are incredible. These mountains are beautiful. And then after 13 and a half hours of driving through mountains, you're like, when do they stop? What has happened here? Right? Like but it was gorgeous. And then we got to Vancouver, which is a really cool place. I would say the only downside to Vancouver is it is way overpopulated now, because it's such a cool place. Like as soon as I got there, I'm like, I would love to live here, but an apartment is like $3,000 a month for a 1-bedroom. So That's and in Canadian dollars. So I mean that's like what 2,500, 2,200.
You could
But
share it
this
with you should just share it like a loft with a mouse family, and you'll be fine.
yeah, exactly. Well, it's absurdly expensive there, and but it is like really it's absurdly beautiful. But the conference was at their convention center, was right on the water, so you can see like there's seaplane taxi services constantly taking off and landing, and there's cruise ships and all this other stuff. So conference itself was really cool. We went because on the WAN show, my brother heard Linus say, like, if you're a creator, it doesn't matter what size, we have a lot of sponsorship money to bring creators down to participate in the event. So let us know and we'll try our best to comp everything depending on the scale of your channel and that sort of thing. So we applied and we got free entrance and for the full weekend plus the whale land, and then we got creator badges which got us past lines and all that stuff, which was really cool. Yeah. But being being Manitoban idiots like from the prairies in the middle of we're just like, let's get in line, and we waited in every line, and then we got our passes, and they're like, yeah, you could just go in there. We're like, like, what are you talking about?
He's joking, this guy. Yeah.
Basically, the experience itself though was so awesome. Like we did a video called like how Linus Tech Tips or how Linus treats small creators, and we talked about how basically like if you were an attendee, you would have been able to do everything because there are 2 days to do it, and a lot of the stuff there, people are waiting in line for like an hour, which doesn't sound like a lot of fun on the surface of it, but there weren't a ton of booths beyond, like, it was a big event, but yeah, I think it was big enough that there were so many people you were waiting about an hour to do everything. And when I say everything, I mean things like they had RC cars that had cameras on the hood and you would wear a VR set and use a steering wheel to drive them. And then they had they had like actual racing cockpits that were on like hydraulics. They had case toss. Case toss was not an hour-long wait, but I did case toss. That was fun.
I mean, how long does it take to toss a case? Come on.
They had a blindfolded cable management challenge to see how fast you could do it.
I could do that, but only with SCSI cables. I know the feel of them.
They had like VR dueling, like pistol dueling, where like 4 guys would be in an arena pistol dueling each other, and that had a huge lineup. But it was a pretty cool event, all told. I really we went to the LAN and we set up in the creator area, but all the creators were just making content. So like there was basically no one sitting where we were.
Yeah, you had this great video where you just you started interviewing people. I mean, I'm not going to play it obviously, but just check out this video on Dan's channel because he did some great interviews with a lot of people.
That's Dank Pods right there. Yeah. From the Dank Pods channel. That's a bunch of people from the LTT channel. There's a guy with a really tall hat.
That would be me. Just walking around with a really tall hat.
I thought his name was Jerobo, which is not a real name, I don't think.
I'm going to name my firstborn Jerobo, and I'm going to take offense to this in 5 years.
It was so much fun. I actually love doing streeters like that. It's something that we used to do on our old cable access talk show, basically. And that was Luke's dad from the WAN show. What a cool dad. This guy was, I think he said he was a plumber or an electrician or something, but he's super into like LANing and gaming. So he would take him to like PAX every year. Like I think he said they went for 15 years in a row or something.
Oh wow,
that's just so cool. I love my dad, and he's just the more practical guy. He doesn't like video games. He likes business and antiques.
Keeping a roof over your head. Yeah.
No, he's a super interesting guy. But yeah, Luke's dad took him to a bunch of lands, so I guess that really fed into the whole getting into the Linus Media Group thing. But that was a very fun trip.
Yeah, I will say, just watching this video interview people, you were clearly having a bunch of fun. And it was like you were, it seemed at least, and if it wasn't true, you at least faked it very well. You seemed very comfortable in just going up and talking to people, and mingling and promoting yourself and talking to. I mean, that looks like you had a blast, and so it's like I enjoy watching that type of stuff because I'm like, that guy's having fun. I'm gonna have fun watching this.
You know what? Actually, it was a really flattering thing to hear, but one of the most frequent things we heard was like, it was nice that you didn't like roast those people, because
Oh gosh, yeah.
so many people who go to events and be like, oh, I'm here at like a nerdy thing, and look at all these nerds, you know, and like I just wanted everyone to be like, no, I'm here to LAN as well. I am one of you. We're not gonna say dumb crap. You know, like,
we'll save that for the after party.
Yeah, didn't want to do any of that, but yeah, they're like, it was good, respectful, you know, like no one was put out to feel weird or anything, so that was a good thing.
That's great. Yeah, so I mean, do you think you'll do another one of these events, or you think that was like such a far trip you may do something closer next time?
I'd love to, but we would have to fly. Yeah, because 24 hours in the car and then 3 days and then 24 hours in the car again is like not fun. That's
I think.
I mean,
I
my
think
brother's great, but that
reasonable.
was a lot of driving.
Oh, of course, and like you love your brother, but at the end of that period of time, it's like one of us is going to end up dead. You know,
I'd love to take a train or something, but trains in Canada are extraordinarily expensive. They're not
just like
meant
here
for
in the
transport.
US. Trains are a nice novelty until you realize that you could fly there for a quarter of the time for just about the same amount of money.
We built this long network of rails to transport people across. Well, how much does it cost? Oh, your money, idiot!
Well, I look forward to your 8-hour roast of the transit system on your channel.
We'll save that one. That'll be like a subscriber special. Listen to me rant about public transit, or that not public, but
all transit in general. So with your background of obviously you said your dad's an antiquesman and all this stuff, I would assume that recently you've probably gotten your fair share of some older gadgets and stuff. But I'm also curious, like where did that start? Like what system did you start out with? And was there like a particular type of system that you got and you'd like to? I know you talked about this a little bit in a video, but I'm just curious, like where this sort of disease that we all have of collecting this crap stemmed from. Well, maybe we could find a cure, Dan. That's what I'm saying.
I think for me it was just getting to pull everything apart, put it back together, and then have it turn on again. Like that was such a satisfying feeling, even through childhood when I would pull stuff off of a machine. But like it's such a satisfying feeling to take something that does work, it works, and then fully take it apart and then put it back together and have it turn on again. And then you're just like, okay, what's next? You know what I mean? Like it's just, you're like, all right, let's open up Craigslist or whatever, like what's relatable here for Americans. Kijiji in Canada and go out and get some more machines. And like for me, it was that compact Mac, it was that Windows 98 server tower that I bought. It was a G3 iMac. Like for me, I got lucky in that when I started collecting them is because I thought, oh crap, I better start soon because these used to be free, and now they're like $40 to $100, and now they're like $200 or $300 for some of them. Like I remember I was buying G4 iMacs for like $40 to $60 until I had I think 4 or 5 of them, and now all of those things are in Canada at least they're like 120 150 bucks.
Yeah, it's been nuts.
And it's not that I did it because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make some money. It was like I'd like to own a lot of these, and it's not going to be attainable for much longer.
Yeah,
like I want a bunch of SGI machines, and they're so expensive now. I crapped the boat there. Same thing with Next. I wanted to get some Next stuff in 2020 and 2019. I should have done that 3-4 years ago, and now I'm sitting here like
I will ease your FOMO of I have a Next Cube and the matching display, the black and white one. I've turned it on a handful of times and I'm like, this is really neat.
Yeah.
What can I do with this? Back on the shelf it goes. I mean, there are great people who have made content about it and all that stuff, but it's like for me, it would be like repeating a lot of that stuff. And I think that's also like everybody on YouTube is trying to do their own unique thing. And I think that yes, it makes sense to show your own journey and show what you could do with something. But like, if you don't have a natural spark of like, I'm interested in tinkering around with this, and it's like, all right, back on the shelf you go. At least for now.
I feel terrible sometimes because like I what you say, like you work on it for a bit and then you put it back on the shelf. Like I'm the same way in that the stuff that I use day to day, I typically use like a 2013 MacBook Pro and then like the desktop PC that I built myself with like a Ryzen setup. And basically that stuff I'll do. And if I want to play retro stuff, I usually do emulation because it's just easier in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and
but,
I frayed the power cord. I have to go solder this before. Anything that I want to play around with here, there's like at least an hour of fixing and/or tinkering before I can even like
exactly. And that's the part. So what's interesting is the part that I enjoy the most with retro machines is not like using them per se. It's the feeling of restoring them or building like a machine that I think is really cool. So like some of the stuff, like for example, that G4 tower that I put the Core 2 Quad PC inside of, like I bought that off of Facebook Marketplace from a kid who drilled a bunch of holes in it already, trying to put like a regular modern PC in it. And I just did like, a little bit of metal work on it and slipped some PC parts in there. And I just thought it was really neat. Like stuff like that. I love doing. But once it's done, I'm just like, let's throw it on the shelf. Like I don't feel like using this a lot, right? Like so one of the next things I'm doing is I'm gonna build a PC. I'm not sure what type. I may even use a Mac Mini, but I want to build a Necropolis castle from Heroes of Might and Magic 3, which is a game that I love and is still played every day in Eastern Europe. And I'm going to build a big Necropolis castle out of like hard foam core board. I've got like foam cutting wire and all that stuff. And I'm just going to make this huge light up castle because I used to play a lot of Warhammer. So I've built tons of terrain. I'm
that's
used
right.
to like
I've seen your figures
weathering techniques and all that stuff, airbrushing. I've got all that I have all those tools already. So I think it should be fun, now that I have a bench to work on, it won't be slaying my spine.
My problem is every bench surface in the basement just gets filled up with stuff instantly. As soon as there's like a clear space, I'm just gonna put this monitor here. I'll just put this computer here. Just put this other monitor here. It's like, oh, now there's a pile of 50 systems and I cannot move the table.
And now we're drowning in PCs and Apple machines. Like in here, for example, there's a shot. I'm putting a video up probably later today. I rendered the final version before I left to come here for this interview. And then I just have to make a thumbnail and upload it. But there's like basically a month worth of work that I've done in taking stuff off of shelves, moving the shelves, getting like, things back onto them, moving furniture, just to get everything how I wanted it in here. It's no longer like my living room per se. So I was like, waist deep in stuff at one point in time.
You sent me a picture and I'm like, are you in my basement and just taking things and like transporting them via a portal to your house? Because I was like, but where'd all this stuff come from?
Yes. And then actually, just like offhand here, Jeremy pointed out, is that a Reve iMac? And the answer is yes. This one does not work though, so that might be something that gets opened up soon. And then over in the corner, what do we got there? Color Classics, some G4s.
Oh my goodness.
We've got a Hyperion, a K Pro, Commodore 64.
just a laundry list of
a little bit of everything. Actually, you know what? I should show you a little bit of the setup here. I'll move this camera and we'll see how good a job I can do. So I finally brought the 1080p webcam. We did a live stream the other day and it was terrible. We did it on like a 2.4 gigahertz network on a cell phone. Anyway, that's
the only way to do it.
One of the shelves on the wall from my pre-existing setup, but I think I'm just going to leave it.
Getting some love from Larry in the comments here.
Oh, Larry, you are the best. Larry is a patron.
Excellent.
Check out the Patreon. So this is this TV's facing the wrong way. Oh, sorry.
Banner here. No. Just Dan does have a Patreon, and links to his channel and everything, including his Patreon, are in the video description of this video. So if you don't want to have to type this URL, you click on it later. Sorry. Please continue.
Macintosh Librarian likes the RGB bins. Good catch.
Nice.
We've got the Lego Pirates are back. The Wall of Stuff. This is kind of where I'm sitting right now chatting with you kind folks, but this is a huge mess. All these cables have to be sorted out.
That looks fine.
This is a Plex server. This is the monitor that we use for that. I'm thinking for each video when I do a build now, I'm just going to put like a VHS movie on in the background.
That's great.
And then, this kind of back where we were looking at the start. So this is the new space. It's tough to get an angle on it, but let's see if I can kind of...
Don't hurt yourself.
We're going mobile, folks.
Hold on. Let me just use the bathroom for 5 minutes.
This is where videos used to be filmed.
Oh, my goodness.
There's a ton of stuff here. I don't know how to make this camera focus.
There it goes.
So this is where videos used to be shot, but we've got a bunch of shelves here now with stuff.
What you're saying is if there's an earthquake, you do not want to be under that lamp.
That's correct. Yeah, we got a Commodore monitor, a Commodore printer, some towers. This is with this has two atoms in them. You know, an atom like
yeah. ColecoVision Atom.
Yeah, with the cassette drives
and the printer.
I have two of the printers. Yeah,
good because the power supply is inside the stupid thing.
Steve will like this. We got a whole whack load of Ghostbusters
stuff.
Original Ecto One, original Proton Pack. I got a signed vinyl album.
So when you have kids, you'll be like, "No, you cannot play with that. Those are mine."
So you got more stuff over here.
Nice.
Much stuff, and then
there's much.
Bunch of towers underneath all that, and then my headphones are stuck. So this was formerly the kitchen. This is still an area that needs to be sorted and cleaned. But
so how many compact Macs are in the cupboards?
I think we're up to like 9 or 10 of them.
9.5.
Yeah, this is my brother's F1 channel studio that he's using now. So this
Shout out to Stace.
Formerly my bedroom, but this is now the set for Fiends, or F1 ENDS, where the F1 never ends.
I love it.
And this is all his stuff. Actually, yesterday he was doing a live stream setting all his stuff up, and Rocket Powered Mohawk, which is a very popular Formula One channel, stopped in and said hello. The guy's got
that's awesome.
300,000 subs and all that, but
you know that's another thing that like just to go back to like community and YouTube and all that stuff. It's like we cannot exist and succeed in a bubble. Like the only way that you're gonna have fun with your content and like share things and just like meet people is just to be like cool with each other and friendly. And like I know it's like really cliche and stuff, but it's like really like the community of vintage computers and stuff like that. Like it's 99% of the people in this community are freaking awesome.
Oh, and yeah. You know what? That's the thing I love about, like, okay, so admittedly, this is going to sound dumb, but I started getting into like buying up some vintage Pokemon cards because I was finding that, like, you know, the stock market hasn't been great. And, you know, just kind of a good place to put some savings.
Papa's invested in Pokemon cards.
Well, and so I started an Instagram account called the Kanto Vault, where I would post a picture of a Pokemon card with a little phrase that would slowly just get weirder. And I've got to say,
I love the way your brain works, Dan.
Like, you know, things like, you know, oh, I love Blastoise. Blastoise was my favorite starter, blah, 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 blah. One day I will conquer that evil wizard who stole my mother's voice box. You know, like that kind of thing. Oh. And so, like, I did notice, though, that this community, the vintage computing community, I much prefer.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, and this is really tooting our own horns, but I think there's a base level of intelligence there that maybe other niches don't have at the same volume. Like, I don't know. I just find that whenever I talk with people, I can talk to them. You know what I mean? Like,
you mean I can't pour water on my phone? What are you talking about? It's thirsty. It wants a drink.
I really truly love the retro tech community because it's people with like a curiosity and like a thirst to satisfy that curiosity, and it's about stuff that I think is really cool. So I don't know. Frankly, yeah. I think they're much better. And also, Jeremy, I got to say, yes, I'm so sorry we've been sitting on that ColecoVision thing. We're totally gonna do that as previously discussed.
Dan's been clearly a little busy here.
Life is
around
just
everything.
It's just been very busy, yeah. But we will totally get there. I promise you.
I think what's fun is like there is that overlap in communities too. like the video, like the vintage video game community and stuff like that. But like I actually, it's not to harp on like YouTube foundations and stuff like that, but if you start doing something and it doesn't feel right, just switch. I started doing a video game channel, and I'm like, you know what? There's other people doing this stuff, and like, it's just coming much more naturally to them. They're not looking up Wikipedia things. It's just like ingrained in their brain. Yeah. And I'm like, well, what's ingrained in my brain? Oh, stupid beige computers from the 1990s. Okay, there we go.
Well, perfect though, right? Like, you're experiencing nostalgia. People can see that. It's an excitement that is fun to capture, right? Like, when something finally turns on after working on it for like 12 hours,
or 5 years.
I do like the walk like an Egyptian dance, and like it just.
and then they'll stop working the next day, and you're like, why?
Then I phone you, and I'm like,
Steve, what happened? It was so happy. It was full of life. Oh, the power cord's unplugged. Okay.
I used to be so happy.
Dan, this was 3 hours ago. What happened to you? So I know that you shared a little bit about some of your other interests, but obviously vintage technology and video games is something that you and your brother enjoy. But what other hobbies that I looking at this young man down the street would say he's definitely not into such and such?
Making my own sarongs. No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't do that.
Please tell me all about the process.
How could it be sarong when it feels so right? But the actual stuff that I like, I have a lot of interests. So one of them is like I love Lego, Warhammer 40,000. I don't play the Fantasy Battle one. I never really got into it, but I love Warhammer 40,000. I have 4 different armies for that one, some of which are like the size of 4 armies. And then I've got lots of like random sort of nostalgic junk. Like when they reprinted all of the Masters of the Universe stuff, I just picked like one of everything because I thought it was super cool. I'm big into Magic and Pokemon cards, which most nerdy folks can relate to. Gaming, I was huge into Counter-Strike for a long time, and nowadays I don't even want to say it out loud, but I play a lot of Fortnite still, and
those damn hacking 9-year-olds.
I was going to say,
your lunch.
Last season overall, my KDR was about 4. So, you can take that to the bank.
Mine was negative 1,000, I think.
I don't know. I love landing, building machines. Like there's just there's a lot of retro stuff that I'm just super into. Ghostbusters, I've got a Ghostbusters collection. I used to collect boxed vintage Star Wars stuff.
Oh, nice.
That was
I have quite a few of that myself, sir.
Oh yeah, like the Kenner stuff.
Yeah, not like the Kenner stuff. A lot of like the 90s stuff, I think, like because there's always the ebbs and flows in the market of like collectibles and such. And I think there was a period in like the early 2000s where like nobody wants these, and I was at a yard sale and like this guy was like $5 for anything. Okay,
Yeah. It's like, I'll give you all these toys if you smoke a cigarette in front of me.
Daddy, why is this weird man yelling at me?
It's like, I have no idea. Just smoke the cigarette.
Let's just go out of here. Let's leave.
Just smoke the dang thing and we'll take the toys.
Yeah, I think that also is for better or worse, like another way to diagnose our sickness of these old computers is like, oh, we all have all too many hobbies. My wife will tell me that all the time.
I should also say, Ryan knows about this one, but I've got the car thing too. So
oh, that's right. Yeah,
I've always been into cars. I've got a '64 Bel Air with hydraulics, like a lowrider.
Oh,
and I daily drive a '97 Honda Civic hatchback. So I just I love those cars. It's funny. People are always like, "Oh, why are you '97 Civic? Why don't you buy something better?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I waited forever to find one with low mileage.
Yeah,
This is what I wanted. Like, this isn't what I had to have. It's been broken into like 7 or 8 times living downtown. Like just that thing. The other day, it's been broken into so many times. The other day, I went to go get a residential parking pass, which is something you can do in Manitoba to supersede 2-hour parking limits. And he's like, "Do you have the registration for the car?" I go in the car. I'm like, Actually, no. I believe it was stolen.
It was there 3 hours ago, but
I will be phoning the insurance company immediately.
God, it's terrible.
I don't have the club for it, but you know what? It has an immobilizer, so no one's taken it, but people break into it constantly. And you know what's actually really interesting? Like, I've even seen it with my own eyes. I had to yell, "I've just phoned the cops! Get the F out of here!" Because like people come down the back lanes now with Slim Jims, those little metal chip things, and they don't even break windows. They literally walk up to a car, lean in, look what's in it, and then they just go, and then they just open the door and take stuff. And so that's what they did.
You need like a very realistic looking alligator. It's like you put like in the seat, or snakes or something, you know.
Yeah,
just
exactly. Or cover it in feces.
Well, I mean, you know, that's what I always do, but you know.
My 90s Hondas, 90s Acuras, I am huge. I'm all about that. I DIY. Mine is not modded at all, actually. The only thing I've done to it is just replace like the wheel bearing and water pump and a few things, and I've kept it basically stock. It's a 5-speed. She goes, got the 1.6. I had a 91 at one point in time, but I put a short throw shifter in that. That was it.
So is this like you know, the stuff you do with your cars? Like, is this like come natural to you, or you like watch videos, or like your friend or your brother was into it, or how'd you get?
Well, you know what? Our dad was always into vehicles too. So like growing up, we had some pretty unconventional cars. Like our winter driver was a '67 Mustang Coupe, and then like with rust, of course. And then in the summer we had a 71 Challenger convertible, and then that changed to a '67 Mustang Coupe that had been restored, and then now a '68 Mustang Fastback. And so he's always been a big, you know, car guy all his life. But essentially, I love muscle car. I mean, like I said, I got a '64 Chevy, but it's not a muscle car; it's a lowrider. But you know, the Civic was kind of like my high school muscle car, you know, like being a kid born in '87. So, yeah.
So if you could, I'm gonna make you pick favorites here, because you know this is the method of the whatever we're doing now.
Yes. Yeah.
You're gonna pick a favorite car, and it could be something you have or you don't have. Favorite car, a favorite computer, and a favorite video game system. What would your choices be?
Oh God. Okay. Well, for the car thing, I mean,
10 seconds on the clock.
This is like asking a metalhead what genre they like. There's so many sub-genres to answer.
Which of your children do you like? The other 3 will be destroyed.
If I had to pick a car, I'd probably lean lowrider. I'd probably get a '59 Impala convertible, done up, you know, with hydraulics and everything.
I'll pretend to know exactly what that is.
If I did an import, I'd get like a '91 CRX with the glass top and the 5-speed. And then for a computer, for an old machine, I think probably like if there was a Grail machine. Oh God.
Yeah, I know it's hard.
I'm thinking like an SGI Octane or like
Nice.
a Next Cube.
Nice.
I would love a Next Cube.
You don't have to pick just one.
So cool. Well, and like I would say the Next Cube probably is the winner because it's so like secret iconic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't know about Next, but when they find out about Next, they're like, "Whoa, that's sick!" And that's probably super rare. You know, like it's
yeah.
And then for a favorite gaming machine, I've always like, okay, so I'm gonna this is a huge cop out, but I've always said PC first for my platforms. But I think the one I had the most fun and the most memories on is the Nintendo 64 for sure. Yeah, I was a huge Nintendo kid.
Nice. Yeah, the opposite in my family. I had 3 brothers, so for better or worse, like we actually were able to get our hands on a few different video game consoles, because like one of us would have a birthday or holiday money or whatever. But we grew up primarily with Sega stuff. So when friends had Nintendo stuff, we were like, what's that? You know, that's, you know, and we didn't get anything Nintendo, I think, until like I got like a used NES from like a flea market or something.
Okay. Yeah. No, you know what, when I was first getting into it, we did we had a Super NES first and the Donkey Kong Country on. And it's funny because I say Nintendo 64 is my favorite console overall, but I would say Donkey Kong Country series are my favorite games of all time.
Yeah,
and those are on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, when we got a used Super Nintendo, like after it was like I think the console was like $50. That's how much they were back in the day. Like, I think we got Donkey Kong for 20, and then like F-Zero was like 10, Mega Man X was 10. Like we just got we paid like $100 and got a bunch of games with the system. And it was it's a fantastic system. And my goodness, like Donkey Kong is like such like a fun game to play. You and your brother were streaming it not long ago.
Oh, we love that game.
Yeah, it's a great 2-player game. I mean, that's like growing up with a brother or a sibling, or a cousin or someone who comes over and plays games with you. It's like the 2-player experiences are they're the most memorable for me. I remember playing Sonic with my brother, playing like Combat on the Atari, just like anything that's multiplayer, just like a lot more fun, I think.
Well, I got to say the Nintendo Switch did a really good job of the online multiplayer play for classic games. Like during the pandemic, my brother and I started Donkey Kong Country lunches where I would just call him on Discord or whatever, and we would sit there for an hour and play Donkey Kong Country all the way. We played 1 through 3, and the online experience was like perfect, basically. Like there was no lag, no like stutter, none of that. So I highly suggest that if you're into classic games like that and you want to do the Nintendo Switch online thing, they do charge you for it, but it's like $25 a year. Also, Trina, I'm so sorry we didn't talk about this earlier because I did see the earlier comment, but that event in Ontario sounds really cool. World of Retro Computing.
That's dangerous sounding.
What was it? Jeremy, I think, said not into pickups, possibly. Was that Jeremy?
Yeah, I think it was Jeremy.
Yeah, I don't see it now, but yeah, you know what? It's not that I'm not into pickups, but they're not my first choice. I used to like mini trucks quite a bit, like because of the low riding thing. But my brother had a good square body not too long ago. That thing, people are getting excited about those. Yeah. That's about cars. That's
what type of a vehicle is that? I don't understand. Who is this person talking about?
Okay. D Robot, 50s or 60s Suburban, very cool choice. Sun Ultra 2, PlayStation 1. Wow. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, especially with like vintage computing and video games and stuff, there's so many cool things that like it's hard to pick just one. Like you like this and you're going to meander over to this and explore that. Yeah. And I think that's what keeps the hobby interesting, because just like cars, there's so many different, levels of things, modifications, exclusives in this part of the country, or things that you weren't aware of, or modifications that people do, the whole story behind like why this came out, why this succeeded and why this failed. And
one of the things I love about this hobby is coming across a machine and you're like, what is that? And then you kind of like look at it and you're like, okay, it's got like, internals from this, and it looks like the case was made in China, and just something totally out of the ordinary. So that's what I like most about it. I think like whenever something crazy comes, like, whoa, a K Pro, I don't even care if it turns on. I'm like, I'll just go grab it, and one day we'll solder it together. Like it's just
you're gonna be like 80 in a nursing home, like, hold on, I have to fix this one trace.
10 more boxes to bring in.
Jimmy, get your grandson in here.
Yeah, exactly. I need 2 able-bodied men.
Grandpa, we're tired.
Oh God, yeah, that'll be me. That'll be both of us.
That's great. That's my cop out of collecting all this crap. Is someday I will be in the fantasy world. I'll be able to still be mobile and lift things and have good eyesight to solder. That's
one day I will die in this room.
Just put my head in a jar and mount it on that shelf, and
I need an old priest and a young priest. Yeah, exactly.
I need an old modem and a young modem.
This one's only 14.4K. Perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So
go fetch me something new.
So with your channel, you focused on a lot of different topics. You do video game stuff, you do streams periodically, and you also focus on restoring things and just playing around with stuff. Do you have anything other than what you teased out already? Any things that you would hope to cover in the future? You don't have to get into details, but like what type of stuff could we see on the horizon from the Canadian Computer Collector?
Yeah, well, one thing I'm really, really stoked about now is being able to do more creative stuff. So like it always felt like I could do these things, but there was such a space constraint, and like, for example, when I was working on that G4 Mac that I put the um, Core 2 quad board into, well, I was literally using a grinding wheel at my dining room table. Like and you know what that's like? You have to sweep metal shavings off of there like frequently because they get so thick that like you can't like run a wet cloth over it, or they'll just bunch up together, like it's one of those things where like we're basically, it feels like I'm finally equipped to do larger scale creativity, if that sounds right. So like I want to make that computer that's modeled after the Necropolis from Heroes of Might and Magic 3. It's going to be a lot easier to do that while I have a space that's like basically stomach height instead of like below my waist. It's going to be easier to cut and glue with a workbench as opposed to my dining room table. You know what I mean? Like it's just everything I think is going to be more doable in this space, and it won't be a big deal if I like have all the windows open and I'm soldering or something. Like I don't have a cat that I'm worried about stepping on anything. It's actually it's giving me wings. So like in the video that's probably going to come out later today, one of the lines I say is like, I'm excited to do more creative builds and really solid restorations now. So like I can do more rust repair, I can do more painting, I can
nice
do all this stuff.
Yeah, you have to have a space for that, and it's not everyone is always in that situation where they could have a separate workbench or even a separate room to do this stuff in. So you manage how you can, and so very cool.
Well, hey, that's that was the big draw for me. It was like, holy crap, I could set this up in a way that's I don't have to hide, like I don't have to push everything in a corner. And it's not that I was hiding, like my apartment was full of stuff still, but at least the living parts are not there.
Dan, did you buy another CRT? No, not at all. Hold on, let me get this curtain and just put it over this lump over here.
Oh, I would kill for a 30-liter ultrasonic cleaner. Actually, that's something I really want to do. I watched Bruce's video on how to make your own big one, and like Bruce is way more talented than I am, so there's no way that I'm going to pull that off. But I am going to look at one that is mostly pre-built.
I'm gonna send you some links. I might be able to help you out there.
That would be great. Yeah, I want something that'll fit like a full ATX board if I can. So it doesn't have to be deep necessarily, but I do want it to be large.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about how they measure them. But yeah, I'll send you some links. Hopefully you could have some.
Jeremy, so long as that frame is straight and rust free, you're off to the races.
Well, I'm gonna ask you one final question, and then we'll let you continue on with your shenanigans for the day. But this show has been all about you and your channel. Subscribe to Dan the Canadian Computer Collector. The links are in the video description. Give him $1,000 a month on Patreon. Do all the stuff that you need to do. But I'd like to ask you, like, what are some creators that you enjoy watching, whether it's retro computing or not, or anybody that you could recommend?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm going to do this right, and I'm actually going to go through my sub list.
All right, everyone get a snack. This is going to take like an hour, but
I'm not going to read. I won't read every single one. But what I will do is actually look, because I know like sometimes when people say like, "Oh, who do you like?" and I'll just be like, and then I'll say like one name, but it's
Mac 84 and Mac 84.
Okay, so some of the ones I suggest. So I would definitely suggest my brothers, which is Fiends, F1, ENDS. I love you and Bruce, so like Brankus, Mac 84, obviously. I do, you know what? People are joining the hate wagon right now, but I do watch a decent amount of LTT, like Linus Tech Tips. What are some other ones here? LGR, I would say LGR was probably the biggest inspiration for me getting into this. I think that's true for a lot of people. He's done some great work there. Check out Ron's computer vids too. Also check out James Vintage Apple Tech and Trina Conrad, Trina's Technobabble. There's what else have we got here? I love what's his name? It might be on my other account. He makes like HO scale train models. Luke Talon or something. Hang on, we're still moving through here.
That's fun to watch too. Like when it's like when you're different, like when it's a different topic, but also it's like when you're not doing it. Like I'll watch Bruce repair something and be like, I'm glad I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Hang on here. Okay, I'm just gonna switch to my personal account because I'm just on the CCC one. I might have a
that's another thing people don't understand. They'll be like, you didn't subscribe to me. It's like, no. I don't watch anything on this account.
Yeah, exactly. This is not the one hooked up to my television.
Exactly.
Okay, so where are my subscribers? Here we go. Or subscriptions. Okay, so stuff that I watch frequently. Okay, well, also Action Retro. We got to shout that out. Action Retro,
that guy blows things up. I like it.
Adrian's Digital Basement, fantastic.
Oh,
like that man's breadth of knowledge is incredible. What else we got here? I used to really like Bald and Bankrupt, the guy that just traveled across like old Soviet countries.
I haven't seen that.
You know, he did a lot of like through Russia, Ukraine, and different stuff, and then he got banned from Russia because he broke into the Buran shuttle hangar. Amazing.
All right, pro tip: do not do that.
Yeah, Bear Jackson, because I like to watch Bear Jackson auctions. Highly suggest Braille skateboarding. Skateboarding is another hobby of mine that I didn't mention before.
Nice.
Just got back into it about 4 years ago.
And how's the body enjoying that?
Oh, that might be my brother showing up here.
It is.
Hey,
he's welcome to shove his face in.
I have to make an F1 video.
Check out Cathode Ray Dude as well. That's another good one.
Great channel.
CBC News. Yeah, here's Stace. We're just doing an interview with Steve.
Say hello.
Yeah.
Say hi.
I on the way over.
Hey.
Hello.
We're just wrapping up here.
Oh, yeah, nice. My toxic trait is I turn my hobbies into work obligations. So I have to write 5 to 10 minutes of comedy about the F1 race that happened at 10 a.m.
I love it.
There you go. And you know what? I think, Ed's Auto Reviews, that's a great one if you're interested in like the history of cars and things like that. And I don't know, there's lots of great stuff out there, but that's just kind of where I've been at lately. So
awesome. Well,
very
thank you very much for sharing. That's a great comprehensive list, and I'm sure there's a billion others that people think of. But
awesome. You know, lately I've been trying to find like smaller creators that work on 90s Hondas. I know we were talking about those for a bit. I'm trying to find ones that aren't like too much or like too little. Like sometimes it's just a video with like royalty-free trap music really loud instead of people explaining things. But
that's also the trap you get into where you find like a very specific problem and you do a YouTube search for like how to solve it, and there'll be like one guy with the music blasting, you can't even hear what he's saying, and it's like, what? The video's blurry, you're like squinting, you know.
Like, thank you very much.
And all the comments are music too loud. You know?
Yeah. Anywho,
man.
Well, I appreciate you having me so much, Steve. This has been a blast.
Yeah, please, everybody who's watching this, Dan is the one and only Canadian computer collector. You could find the links below in the video description, and you could check out his channel. He's on YouTube. He's on the TikTok with the kids. He's doing all this stuff that the peoples do in the thing. So I'll be sure to update the video description with all the stuff. So Dan has all the links there that he needs to. But hopefully we'll see you on a stream real soon, or you'll do something crazy with that iMac. Try not to blow it up.
We got a video coming out later today. We should at least, because I rendered it. Just needs a thumbnail. Yeah.
Nice. I hope your internet cooperates with that.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
All right, I'm just gonna wrap up here. You feel free to wait in the green room or just go away for a while. But anyway, Dan, thank you so much for hanging out, and we'll see you in a bit. Awesome. That was Dan, my good friend and yours, hopefully, the Canadian computer collector. Very, very fun to have Dan on. I always enjoy his content. Please check out his videos if you have not done so already, and also check out his brother's channel as well. Again, links in the video description. We do these open talk things periodically. I also do live streams and as Mac84 on my Mac84 stuff. Same channel here. This is just a different playlist. But yeah, that's about it. If you like what you see here, if you have any questions for Dan, put it in the comments here, and we'll probably get you some eyes on that eventually, because Dan's a great guy. He loves vintage computing, and he is very, very passionate about what he does, as we all are. But that's about it for now. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully play an outro if I have it here. I don't. So that's about it. Take care, everybody, and thanks again. Bye.